All right, welcome back to the Run.down Postgame show here on the Strickland YouTube channel. If you're listening to this, the Strickland podcast network, the day after Knicks win versus the Nets in a game that was a little bit too close for comfort, 108 to 103, bringing our record to 27-17 over the slowly plummeting Brooklyn Nets, who don't want to be sellers of the deadline, reportedly. We'll get into all that, of course. Before we start, of course, with NFL playoffs right on the corner and the NBA season in full swing, BetOnline has you covered with all the up to the second odds, news, and scores. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime. Head there today to get into the action and see all the updated odds. Remember to use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. I'm Sam. I'm joined by Khan and Jeff. I am back after a short hiatus. But yeah, Knicks continue to win. Yeah, I mean, I my thoughts on this game initially were this game was a little bit too close all the way through, especially against a Nets team that, I mean, Jeff, you beautifully pointed out in a tweet the other day. I mean, they absolutely got eviscerated in the fourth quarter by the Clippers, who, of course, are a better team than them. But the fact that they had such a stranglehold on that game for 3.5 quarters and basically choked it away, this is the type of team I expect the Knicks to come out against and, take care of business no matter who they're missing. Like, they're missing Hartenstein today. Jericho Sims did, I thought, a pretty okay job, pretty admirable job in the first quarter at least. Gave you 4 blocks. Didn't really see much of him most of the rest of the way, which was kind of expected. But I mean, yeah, you had Brunson and Randall once again leading the way with 30 apiece. Seems to be the norm now, as they do get a big brunt of the workload. Today we were able to, I guess, spell them a couple more minutes, with the whole no Hartenstein thing and versus this Nets team, it was, I guess, a little bit easier to give guys a little bit of a breather. But yeah, I just thought this game was a little bit too close for comfort. I think the glaring thing continues to be that we still need some bench help. And we saw one of our competitors in the Eastern Conference make a move today to pick up someone that we have been rumored to be interested in one Terry Rozier for the corpse of Kyle Lowry and a 2027 lottery protected first. So I mean, hey, if the price on the guards like Terry Rozier are that, I mean, I imagine Knicks should be able to get any one of their targets for a reasonable price, and we'll get into all that. But just your thoughts on the game tonight. Khan, we'll start with you.
I think this is one of the most obvious games where you could see, like, okay, the Knicks are they've reached that tier of team where they can coast for 40, 38 minutes in a game against the bottom feeder and then just pull a rabbit out of their hat, whenever they need to get serious, right? Like, about 6 minutes left, we were down 10 points. We were plus 300 on the live odds. Just shout out to Sam for the live odds talk. And I was like, I don't think we're gonna lose this game. Like, Randall right then turned it on, locked in. He was pretty bad for the first 3 quarters, and then pretty much every minute he played in the fourth was like pretty damn good. Massive 3-pointer over there to give us a 1-point lead, and I thought that fast break dunk he had, that was a pretty unselfish play to pass it up to Brunson because he had a lane, and what did who was it? Jason Kidd said to Melo when Jason Kidd came here, right? Like, the ball finds great players, and he gave it up. The ball found him again on the fast break. So I think this, while people are going to look at it and say, oh, 4-point win against the Nets is what it is, I think there's something deeper to take away from this. Like, these guys, pretty much besides Brunson, didn't show up until really the second half, right? Kind of middle of the third quarter. And we were able to pull it out when we probably didn't deserve to win this game. So that's my takeaway.
I have a bit of a different takeaway. I actually don't feel like they were coasting. I thought they were trying really hard. especially defensively. I thought that was some of the best defensive effort I've seen from the team as a whole in a really long time. Like, I know the Nets aren't this great offensive team, and sometimes you'll watch them and be like, how do they even score 100 points, like, in general? So I'm not like, over the moon about this defensive performance, but it wasn't just like the Nets were missing open shot after open shot, and yeah, they're not a good team. It was like multiple rotations being made every single time somebody got beat off the bounce. There was somebody stunting to keep them from the basket, and they knew that next rotation was coming. Like, that was legitimately one of the best defensive games I feel like they've played all season long. To me, it highlighted what Sam said in the intro. Like, when you play a team that even knows what it's doing defensively, there's so much pressure on Brunson and Randall. They're the only two guys who can create a shot at all. And so if they're not just going to have it going every single night, that's impossible. That's not realistic to expect from anybody. Like, go watch any of the championship runs in the last 4 seasons, or the last however many seasons you want, 2020. It's not like LeBron and AD had great games every single night. And that's LeBron James and Anthony Davis, next season. It's not like Giannis was 30, like next season. Steph had a couple off games. I remember that finals, like he had a down game or two and in a great overall finals for him. So the Knicks don't really have anyone even remotely stepping up in terms of initiation. And I don't know what they're supposed to do right now, because the offense really seems to be hurting. Like, that was the big takeaway for me. It was just like, especially those minutes. Like, I made a joke on the Strickland account that like that unit that doesn't have Randall or Brunson is out there like trying to win their 4 minutes 2-0. Like, they're a great defensive unit. I'm not going to deny that, but at a certain point, I just think they have to go get someone. Like, they're missing somebody to take now, of course, like, there is an argument like, hey, maybe we should stagger minutes more. That's probably the immediate answer. Like, the answer isn't, okay, you haven't given me what I need, so I'm just going to run these guys into the ground. And the answer also isn't, okay, you haven't given me the guys I need, I'm just going to do things my way and until it highlights the point enough that we need somebody else. No, like, it is the coach's job to coach to the best of his abilities with the guys we have now. So, like, why? I mean, maybe Tibbs just knows they're getting somebody, and he's like, why would I fudge up the rotations in the short term if I'm just going to change them back the second we trade for somebody? I guess you can give him the benefit of the doubt and say that. But if you're really coaching to maximize this group of guys right now, you have one of Brunson or Randall on the court at all times. Like, that seems like an obvious answer to me. The last thing I want to say before I turn it back over to Sam is, at a certain point, like, all people say, and I think they're right, all I hear people say when they talk about Deuce McBride is that he's not a point guard. Like, he's being overtaxed as the backup initiator, and that's not a role he's suited for. Fine. If that's the case, he needs to be in the running for some of these minutes with Jalen Brunson, because Grimes and Josh Hart are giving them nothing right now. Absolutely nothing. And, like, Deuce is the best of the three of them right now. Like, almost by far. He's the most reliable shooter. He's probably the best defender of the three of them. Definitely at the point of attack. He doesn't rebound the way Josh Hart does. And, like, you see it down the stretch. I know Josh Hart had that big layup that everybody jerked off over in the moment, but like that was literally his only field goal of the entire game. Like, he's been useless out there. And not just as a scorer. I don't think he made bad decisions as a passer. Like, I can't imagine there's a player out there justifying his minutes less than Josh Hart. I mean, I'm not watching every minute of every game. And to me, the easy answer for a while was, okay, Grimes should get those minutes. He's taller than Josh Hart. He's more of a wing. But Grimes isn't doing anything to justify minutes either. Like, he's not making shit. He was 2 of 5 tonight, 1 of 4 from 3. Deuce is making stuff. So, like, look, if you don't, Deuce can't just be the guy that spells Brunson if he's going to keep playing like this. If you're convinced he's not an initiator, not a true point guard, that's fine. He can play next to Brunson. Like, he is that good at the point of attack. And if he's shooting like this, he can help you. So I feel like in the short term, until a trade is made, that should be a consideration. Because I gotta be honest, dude, I can't keep watching these Josh Hart minutes. They're just brutal, man. They're just absolutely abysmal. And I'm sure he'll figure it out and it'll be fine. But we're halfway through the season, and it's like he's been
still
the
a
worst
roller
player.
coaster.
He's been the worst player in the rotation. Like I don't even think it's close. I haven't checked EPM in a little while. Let's see what they have to say here. But my guess is it's still not super close. And yeah, I mean, it's just bad. It's just that he's just not helping right now, especially offensively. He's killing you. He's killing you offensively. It's like he's super hesitant, and when he does shoot, it never goes in. So it's like the hesitancy is justified, but he somehow needs to get it out of his brain that like he just because they're not going in, he's going to stop shooting because he's definitely not helping inside the arc. Like all those like ridiculous end of shot clock fadeaways. Oh my God. Somebody else take it.
I apparently should have gotten tarred and feathered for suggesting otherwise on the timeline about Josh Hart. I mean, I've made my thoughts known on Josh Hart and this whole situation. Yes, I called for Grimes to get more minutes. I mean, with Grimes, he's of course obviously just the younger player, so you obviously have more patience. You take a little bit more time with him, and you can rebuttal that by saying, hey, we don't have time to be patient with a young player at this stage in our team development. And I would agree with you there too, but like we also can't have patience to deal with someone who we just paid in Josh Hart to be this constant roller coaster. Like we paid for him to have like this baseline of consistent production, which is what we got for most of last year. And this year's just been a total downturn. And I don't know if it's the knee condition that he apparently has that we're all finding out about this year that he needs to like, I guess like load manage in a way, or like, I don't know if it was the extra time in the off season with FIBA that's throwing him off. I don't know what it is. But like we paid him for this baseline level of production and we're not getting that this year. And that's why it's been so frustrating. And that's why I have called for someone like Grimes to get his minutes and to Grimes' credit, he was shooting better and he was playing better when the trade initially happened. And then for some reason, his minutes just started to go down and then his confidence goes down. And we all know how that turns out. And we're seeing the result of that now. So it's just a never ending spiral. It's also a thing that Jeff and I have also talked about a ton with the self-fulfilling prophecy with Thibs. Like if he sees something one way, he's going to make sure it happens on the court. So that way, confirms his bias, of course.
I just want to say EPM has updated tonight's game, and Hart is the worst player in the rotation. He was actually passed by Precious Achua tonight, which is that's tough. That's tough. That's tough.
And to credit to Precious, who's actually been playing like some decent basketball lately. Like hasn't made any stupid plays really. I would say
the last 5 games, pretty good.
Yeah,
I should say pretty good. Been passable.
Yeah, he hasn't made me like want to type his name in all caps saying, "Oh my goodness," on Twitter.
Yeah. I thought he and Sims both did. Like we always talk about, when we have Mitch and Hardenstein, like 48 minutes of awesomeness at the center. I kind of thought we got 48 minutes of way better than I expected. Yeah, just like 48 minutes. No, not obviously to the level of Mitch and Hardenstein, but 40 minutes of quality center play to the point where I wasn't like overly annoyed that whoever the hell was playing center when Nick Claxton wasn't out there, that Tibbs wasn't just going to Randall and 4 shooters at the 5, to spell those minutes. I mean, it's still annoying, but I wasn't, overly annoyed because Precious was playing fine. Sims was just everywhere. Like he was just total beast. He had 4 blocks. He had 4 blocks in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane to me that that Sims is someone that didn't get minutes over Precious, even when Hartenstein was healthy. But it's so weird because like Thibs does this thing where like, okay, Hartenstein's out. He doesn't promote Precious to the starting lineup like a normal, I guess, like coach would do. He brings the 3rd string center and is like, hey, no, you're gonna be the starter. I'm gonna keep my bench center the same because he has this whole like thing where he has to be so archaic with like how things are set up a certain way. But I mean, This game, I mean, Knicks win again. I mean, the one thing that I've always criticized was, you know, the whole OG and Anunoby getting, like, we're running guys into the ground. I mean, you're seeing Hartenstein now dealing with this Achilles soreness, and this is probably something that the team's gonna have to monitor. Of course, with this and the Josh Hart knee thing, like, you're playing these guys so many minutes, it's gonna catch up to them. It's been a joke with Dibs, like, oh, he's gonna run guys into the ground, but like, you're literally seeing it right now. And I think it's on the front office to try to do something to save Thibs from himself and save the players from Thibs at this point. I mean, luckily tonight,
that was never a joke, Sam. It was never a joke.
I mean, you're right. I mean, but like, it was a joke in terms of, like, you know, like, he's gonna kill our players' bodies. Like, most of our players have been pretty healthy,
but it wasn't like funny. It was like, okay, haha, you're playing them 43 minutes. Can you freaking stop?
Yeah, he was never gonna stop. He's not gonna stop until they get him a better player. That's why it's such a joke. Like, no other team operates this way at all.
It's insane
in any sense of the capacity. Like, there's no.
And if you as a fan try to criticize that, you're stupid, because you're not the coach. You're not an NBA coach. How could you know better than them? Like,
people who think like that, like, sorry, dude, that I wasn't like an assistant coach in 1988. You know, I had some things, you know, that got in the way of that. But next lifetime, I'll do better. Dude, no, and it's like, that's the problem, is like, there's always this assumption that, like, when anyone criticizes anyone doing anything, it's like, you therefore are saying that in the macro you think you're better than that person. It's like, no, it's just like, maybe there's just this one aspect that seems pretty obvious, and there's a bunch of data to confirm it, that, you know, these people aren't infallible. It's not like people act like coaching in sports is a meritocracy, and it's like, it very much isn't. It's not like we all sat down and every single person in the world got an opportunity and they were like, yep, these are the 30 best guys. It's like, no, most of them are just like friends, you know, like they've been in the industry forever. Newsflash, people, that's how this shit works.
I mean, look at the guy who just got hired to be the Bucks coach today.
Whoa, I don't think who got hired? I didn't even see who got hired. Who got hired?
Doc Rivers.
Whoa, that's official?
Yes.
Man, that's so funny. That's so cool.
They announced it on TNT, and I don't think, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Woj or Shams has tweeted that.
No, they haven't, but apparently confirmed by CNN that it's
like, what does that even mean? Like,
I don't know how CNN is breaking news.
You realize how good that is for the Knicks? It's one less team we have to worry about in the playoffs.
Yeah, bro, like, potentially.
But I mean, even if it isn't confirmed, it's most likely the thing that's going to happen, just because, like, he was the advisor to Adrian Griffin, which is a whole weird scenario within itself with the whole Adrian Griffin thing. And maybe we'll talk about it later in the stream after we finish breaking down the Knicks, of course. But yeah, I mean, like Jeff said, I mean, this whole thing with coaches, of course, is like, you know, people that know each other and stuff. Doc Rivers, that 2008 ring has made him indestructible in this coaching industry. Like, he consistently keeps getting jobs despite his teams failing every single postseason. It's actually remarkable.
And he never has played since the Celtics. And like, you could probably argue that he didn't play a part. It's not like they were built like with Doc Rivers. They were awful, and then they traded for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and then they won a championship. But then he went to the Clippers, who already had the team in like every single place he's gone. Doc has been seen as the final piece of the puzzle since Boston. He went to LA. He was supposed to be the one who took the Clippers over the top. And instead, literally his first two seasons, 2014 and 2015, they had the two biggest implosions ever. They had the one against OKC when it was 2-2 and they were up 8 with a minute left in OKC. And then the next year in 2015 in the semifinals, they were up 3-1. They were up 20 points at home in the fourth quarter against Houston, up 3-2.
Josh Smith.
Yeah, Jay Smooth went nuts, you know, like, and obviously, I'm not saying that's all Doc Rivers' fault. Of course not. That's silly. But Sam's point is that, like, he's in the industry. Like every single season, every single sport, all we see is a little carousel of the same coaches being like, I mean, Bill O'Brien was just he was just given the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. He's literally the only coach ever to play with both Nick Saban and Bill Belichick and never win a championship.
That's
like he was
incredible.
Like what the fuck is that? Like what if, and like how can you watch that and be like, you know who's the guy? It's like, no, like this is probably just a buddy of a buddy, like he knows the AD or the head coach, and they're like, oh yeah, Bill's a good guy. He's a, I don't know, Colin, step in. What's some bullshit meathead football talk that they'd say?
I got you. Bill, he's gonna come in here. We're gonna learn how to run the football.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
We need, the guys got to learn power. They got to learn gap. Bill's gonna get us right. And that's how they're talking.
Dude,
about it.
The get us right line is perfect. That is exactly what they said. Isn't that what Fizdale said?
Yeah. Famous last words.
Oh,
famous first words. My God, what an introduction. But yeah, I mean, like,
I was just gonna say I was gonna say one quick thing. We should talk a bunch about Julius because I think Julius was clearly the best player for the Knicks tonight. I just want to say, like, it's embarrassing that Jalen Brunson isn't starting in the All-Star game. Like, we collectively as Knicks fans should be ashamed of ourselves. And also just like whoever out there, whoever the non-Knicks fans, Sixers fans are, who are like, maybe that's a bad example because Maxi's been great. I don't know. I don't follow All-Star voting too closely, but whoever the guys are that are keeping Jalen Brunson from starting that aren't Tyrese Halliburton. No, Halliburton's fine. But who aren't Tyrese Halliburton. And by the way, Brunson, because the game's played, I would take Brunson as Halliburton over Halliburton this season too, probably. Yeah. But only because of games played, not like.
I still take him just because of that stupid fit that Halliburton wore today. It fucking looked like a
dude. That was
newspaper
bad.
Boy.
Man, I was watching that game. Jokic is so good. We need to do better because like. This is, I mean, I don't know how much better it gets for Brunson. Like if he keeps better at getting actually improving, I don't know. But like, I can't imagine he's ever going to have, just from a pure immediate output perspective, like the run he's on is insane. He just keeps putting the ball in the basket.
I think it's not just Knicks fans' fault, but I think it's also the national media's fault. They don't do a good job of representing the Knicks in the most positive of ways. I know I forgot which Knicks account on Twitter points this out. I think it's Knicks Muse, but he points out like almost every single time that the Knicks play well, that like the NBA, NBA, ESPN, those Instagram accounts, they don't post anything like Knicks worthy. They'll post like seven things from like.
They recently had the Derek White one. It was like back-to-back 20-point games.
It's
Knicks Muse was like, what about Jalen Brunson having 4 straight 30-point games?
And it's like, if you're not promoting like the very best talent in the league, like fans are like the casual fans who are doing a lot of this all-star voting are not gonna like really like care or think about Jalen Brunson in that way, because like Jalen Brunson's not really a name that pops unless the media is like really pushing that person out there, or if you're like a Knicks fan, or if you're just a really like intense basketball watcher. Like you're gonna be someone that knows of Jalen Brunson and you're gonna like care about what he's doing. I don't think national media does a good job. I mean, even today on TNT, Candace Parker's over here talking about like Jalen Brunson in the first round did pretty well, but in the second round of the playoffs didn't play that well, even though he averaged 31, 5, and 6 on like 50% shooting versus an Eric Spoelstra defense that was playing box and one coverage on him, and like no one else on the Knicks could barely score.
Yeah, with Josh Hart and RJ Barrett as the first 2 passes away, as the first 2 outlets when he was on the ball.
Like, that's insane to me. Like, that's the type of coverage that Jalen Brunson's getting. Like, of course, like Knicks fans, of course they got to do a little bit better on the voting, but like national media isn't doing us any favors with how they cover us either.
You're definitely right. I do wonder if Brunson's starting to get to opposing fan bases. Like, he's got to start building a reputation of like absolutely destroying them consistently. No, I mean, like, dude, I feel totally comfortable saying this. If Brunson wasn't a Knicks player, like all the shit he does, I don't know. Like he's like all he like he's like, oh, he leads the NBA in charges. He's always like dying on those screens to try and draw charges. He's always seeking contact. Like, I'm just saying, if he wasn't a Knick, like, and I feel so, like, just think about how Knicks fans feel about the way Trae Young plays basketball. You know, like,
yeah,
I'm not
for
saying
sure.
Brunson's Trae Young, but I am saying that, like, we have a bias towards Brunson because he's a Knick. So none of that shit annoys us. But, like, if you look at it objectively, I do wonder how many people are watching and are like, God damn, man, like, enough with the head bobbing and the you know, like, just fucking play basketball. I'm actually curious. I'm not saying that's true. I'm curious if that's like a conversation point around Brunson with other fan bases. Because it's the only thing. Because, like, if you look at all the data, Brunson should be way higher. He should be way more respected. And he's just like a beautiful hooper. Like, when he has the ball in his hands and he's like fucking dancing on people, like, how can you not enjoy that? So I don't get it. I just don't get why he's not more respected in the discourse, I guess. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild.
Have you ever gotten a bull don't stop posted by Jalen Brunson? Because, like,
I think, yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, if he hasn't, like, he missed the boat, man. Like, that could have been his guy. But honest to God, like, if you flipped, like, I don't know, you flipped Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson, like, the media tour and love affair that they have with Mikal Bridges. For some, like, Jalen Brunson goes to the Nets and they do the exact same shit they're doing right now, and Brunson has the same stats that he has on the Knicks, he'd probably get voted as an all-star starter. Like, they just pick and choose which teams they want to talk about. Like,
Yeah,
I know
sure.
the Kings haven't had a great season, but, like, I feel like Fox and Sabonis have still been pretty close to what they were last year, and I just hear less about them now. Maybe I'm wrong on that. That's just a feeling that I've gotten from following the season. But this is like the only one of the four major sports, I feel, where the media just, all right, we're gonna embrace this team this year. Like, no rhyme or reason. Not because they're winning, not because this guy made a huge leap or this guy is, came out of nowhere. Just, we want to.
To your point, Con, you know who's done a complete 180 in coverage, and I mean this sincerely, is the Cavs. Like, last year, I thought the Cavs hype was way out of control. And this year, I feel like nobody's talking about them. And Garland and Mobley have been out for weeks. And Mitchell has been, like, carrying them. Like, yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they're not, like, overhyping Mitchell in, like, MVP conversations. You know, like, that just feels like something people would do. And they're just not being talked about at all.
Yeah,
God,
I mean,
I hope we get to play them again.
I mean, if the standings shake out, it could be a repeat of last year once again. And they're on 8-game win streak. Wow, that's insane. I didn't even know that because no one's talking about them.
That's what I'm saying.
That's insane. But I mean, hey, you'll hear a million things about Derek White's random, his random block that he had on a Thursday night against, whoever it was. Or I don't even know, like, I don't even know what teams are, like, really getting the coverage like this. I mean, the Bucks and the Celtics obviously get a huge brunt of the coverage, as well as Joel Embiid with the Sixers. Other than that, you really don't hear much about any other team. I mean, Indiana was going crazy earlier in the year with the in-season tournament, and then that's when they got a huge brunt of their coverage. But yeah, the league doesn't really do a good job of really highlighting, their who they should be highlighting, I think.
I figured out exactly why the media is not hyping up Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell this year, 20 averages of 28, 5 and 6, right? Pretty much the same record as the Knicks as well. We're like one game behind them. Jalen Brunson's averages, 27, 4 and 7. So it's not that they don't want to give Donovan Mitchell his credit. It's that if you give Jalen Brunson his credit, I mean, if you give Donovan his credit, you have to give the same credit to Jalen, and they don't want to do that shit.
So they like screw both small guards.
Yeah,
they're not getting nothing this year.
I swear through the bullshit, man.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Mitchell is 6th, 7th in the NBA in overall EPM, and he's in the 84th percentile in defensive EPM.
Oh, wow.
So he's just been fucking great this year. Like, he's been really good. Like, him and Brunson should be the all-star starters, I think. I don't know.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah, I'm over anything that's not Derek White fucking starting. I'll tell you that.
Derek White won't. I don't think
is he ahead of Brunson in fan voting?
Derek White?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
haven't
so, but
No way.
Celtics fans and whatever other dorks on Twitter want to make that argument. Good for them.
Let me check it out, actually.
But yeah, I mean, let me go through some comments. We do got some comments here. Shout out Brian Benjamin with the super chat. He brings up 3-team trade with LA and Toronto, where we send out Evan Grimes and the Bucks first, and we get back Dennis Schroeder and a second round pick from either or. Thoughts on this trade, gentlemen? And thank you for the super chat, Brian Benjamin. Super chats are available, by the way, friends. So,
Jeff, you go first.
A good way to support
I'm
us.
going first. I would not do this trade because I think that the Knicks can get I might have been more open to doing this trade, honestly, before I saw the Rozier return and what Rozier went for. But Rozier is a lot better than Dennis Schroeder right now, like a lot. And the Knicks would be giving up more to get Dennis Schroeder. So yeah, I might have been more open to this, a few days ago. But right now, I think that I would be surprised if the Knicks have to give up Grimes for Brogdon or Brown. I don't think they should. It would be very annoying if that ends up happening, like in a, well, I'm not going to play him enough anyway sort of way, so let's just toss him in there. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think that, let's just say the Rozier package is about what ends up being being what the Knicks need to pay? Do you think there's a chance that the Knicks, instead of giving up a first round pick, say, okay, what if we give you Grimes instead, just so they can hold on to all their picks?
Well, I was gonna say, based off of that return for Rozier today, I was thinking, what if for Brogdon we did we gave Fournier, we gave Grimes, and maybe package 2 second-round picks with that, and then could that? I'm pretty sure not Evan. I'm pretty sure Grimes' value is above Brogdon, right? I think everybody's is in agreement with that. I think Blazers fans would even agree with that. No,
I think the Blazers would rather have Grimes than Brogdon, but I think the Knicks would much rather have Brogdon than Grimes right now. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. Objectively speaking, you could, if you were having an honest conversation with the Blazers GM and you were like, look, Grimes is this young guard who fits your timeline, who doesn't need the ball in his hands and shoots and defends well already. He can play off Scoot. He can play off Simons. He's a perfect fit for you. Of course, that is reasonable, but he could probably just be like, yeah, but I could get Brogdon for more. I could get more for Brogdon.
Okay. Also, I tried this trade on the trade machine, just tested out for Brian. It didn't work because Schroeder's not making enough money. And in addition to that, he's on a 2-year deal. Okay, so he could be tradable salary this offseason, but it doesn't work with his money. So Schroeder is probably not an option at all. From there, is it possible Evan Grimes for Brogdon in a second round pick or something like that? I don't know. This front office loves finding value on the margins. They'll do anything for a second round pick, right? So I don't know. I want them to continue. I guess this the way I'm trying to say it is continue to add to the chest, right? Because we did lose the second round pick for the Anunoby trade, which I'm not complaining about at all. But we are going star hunting, right? And potentially not only once, but depending on what happens in the coming off seasons and who's unhappy in whatever spot, maybe we go star hunting twice. So you never want to be, behind the 8 ball and that kind of stuff.
And also the market resets every time there's a star trade too.
Yeah.
I mean, you see in the market trade, you see in the market reset. I mean, it's not a star trade, but Rozier, he kind of sets the market for all these guards now that are going to be available. I mean, if you see Rozier's numbers this year, it's absolutely insane. Actually, he's averaging 24 and 6 on 40 something percent from 3.
I don't know what it is exactly, but I know it's great. And I also know that he's on a 3-year deal. So it's this year and then 2 seasons after. I would have loved to have him, man, but I guess not. So
Yeah, he would have been great for us off the bench. I mean, hey, he goes to Miami. That's like our competitor now. And they have him for the foreseeable future. And they got him for the freaking corpse of Kyle Lowry, man. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. Like,
Sam, you haven't addressed that part of it. Like, what if we just get Kyle Lowry?
I will scream. I will scream. Like, there's no way you're convincing me Kyle Lowry is our creator just because he has Villanova connects. Like, no. Let's not do this.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that part of it. That's funny.
Yeah, that's why I seen people bringing it up today. They're like, "Hey, Kyle Lowry, another Villanova product."
Dude, I say this with nothing but love. You know, it's from a good place in my heart. If you want Kyle Lowry, you belong in a straitjacket.
Yeah, please look up Kyle Lowry's numbers this year,
bro,
and just look up Kyle Lowry under Heat fans' tweets this year. They have not been happy with the production.
If we're gonna get somebody in the buyout market, Sam, I know you've seen me talk about this because I text you about it. Like Gordon Hayward, bro. I really like. I think Gordon Hayward, man. I think he changes a lot of shit for us
if he stays healthy.
Like, because you can legitimately run like a Brunson. Stick with me, okay? Stick with me. You could honestly run like Brunson, OG, Hayward, Randall, Hartenstein. And I would have no qualms about the defense because I would have OG guarding the ball. And then, you know, it's just on Hayward to buy in and play hard.
Yeah.
With Hayward?
I don't know if he rebounds well enough for Tibbs to play 2 there. You know, like I think he needs a very specific guy at the 2 there, you know.
Oh, Josh Hart.
Preferably somebody whose number is number 5 or number 3, excuse me.
3, yeah.
Josh Hart or Josh Hart adjacent and Bruce Brown, Bruce Brown, weirdest quote ever from a guy who's like not on the Knicks. Yeah. Like this guy was talking like he just got traded to the Knicks and like he was like picking out his jersey number or something. Like, dude, relax. It's a trade rumor. He was like, man, I'll fully buy into whatever Thibs is doing. Like, man, I love Thibs. Like, I'm always like saying hey to him like before the game. Like, I just totally respect everything he's done. It's like, dude, relax.
Yo, so Mikal Bridges had a quote post game talking about how.
Yeah, I was about to say this.
You saw that, right? And then Josh Hart just quote tweeted it and said, "Yo, Mikal Bridges, call me," and he added him. Like
it's not happening. As much as they want it to happen, it's not happening.
No, there's no shot because Sean Marks is ridiculous. But
here's the thing that Josh Hart doesn't understand. If they get Mikal Bridges, he's
going to Brooklyn.
Josh Hart's going to be in the So like that's like we should all support Josh Hart doing this. Mikal Bridges is a way better version of Josh Hart than that. Like so yeah, Josh, you do it, but like. He thinks there's this world where him, DiVincenzo, Hart, and Mikal Bridges, they're gonna get rid of. He
thinks we're trading like Mitch. He thinks we're trading like Mitch or something.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's just not worth commenting on because Brooklyn wouldn't do that unless Bridges specifically was like, yeah, I want to go play with them, and even then, I don't know what's
the Nets are impossible. They're impossible because like some team offered them like 4 first-round picks for Mikal and they said no.
Yeah, they said no.
And their asking price for Finney Smith is 2 first-round picks for Finney.
I mean,
Smith.
that Finney Smith thing is ridiculous. I have to say this about Mikal Bridges. I feel very similar to him, and not very similar, like on a higher level. I feel similar to him that I felt about quickly on the Knicks. Like I don't think Mikal Bridges can lead a team like they're trying, and I think it was a good bet by Brooklyn. I think it was like, okay, Bridges' impact data is really good. And let's just see if he's the first option, can he? Like, I think that's a smart bet and worth it. And I think sometimes it does transpire, but he's already proven that he can be like an elite third option. And like, if you put him between Brunson and Randall and OG's there. Oh my god, I didn't even mention OG. How did I not? Dude, Josh fucking Hart. Oh, Mikal, call me. What's he talking about, dude? Like, what the fuck? Does he not want to be on the team?
You want my job, Mikal?
Yeah. Leon's like elbowing fucking I don't know, one of the other front office guys. He's like, "Oh shit, Josh Hart's cool with this. Let's roll. Like we got this."
Oh, Josh wants to go to Brooklyn, guys.
They're like laughing with each other, like, look at this idiot.
Yeah, Jesus.
Fucking
Well,
guy.
hey,
Oh
man.
man. But
Look,
Sam, can you
Josh
answer
Hart.
this
Josh Hart is,
Oh my
well, at
God.
least before this season, a very positive player. So I guess if the Knicks were able to get Mikal Bridges without giving up any of those guys, that would be a really good thing for the Knicks. But like, I'm more just like laughing at the idea that like, I mean, Josh Hart would be like the 8th man on the team if they traded for Mikal Bridges. So I mean, if he's cool with that, then more power to him. That's some unselfishness.
yeah, I mean, coming from the guy who was complaining earlier this year about his role offensively. It's like, Josh Hart, you've never been that kind of guy on a basketball team. So like, why did you think that was going to be your role on the Knicks for some reason?
What's weird too is it hasn't changed. So I wonder who got through to him. Like, I think he's last on the team in usage. I could be wrong. Let's see.
I don't know. Maybe they had like a Villanova.
Oh my God. Guess who's 3rd on the Knicks in usage?
Who?
Precious Achua. Jesus.
That's real ball. That's real ball, folks.
This team is insane.
It's literally a 2-headed monster right now. Like Randall and Brunson's usages are through the roof, and then nobody else is doing.
I mean,
they gotta get
and like these games that are coming down to the wire versus like the Nets and the Wizards lately. Like, is this not showing the front office like they need to like you're playing your starters heavy minutes versus bottom feeders in January? This is gonna come back to bite you, because like guys are gonna be gassed come playoff time, and like
it's just not sustainable.
It's not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. What do you guys think about this? Like, are we ready to say that like we'd rather have Deuce than Grimes or something? Like,
it's definitely closer than I
was
ever
gonna
thought.
say. I don't know if it's like a outrageous thing to say.
It's not that crazy at this point.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you count Deuce's hair, he's like as tall as Grimes. You know, like
depending on how he wears it.
Grimes has a little, thing going on too. Like he's like 6'7", 6'8" with his hair, no?
Yeah,
it's like a weird bias. Like for whatever reason, Grimes just seems bigger, but like from a functional standpoint,
he can play up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. From a functional standpoint, they're basically the same size. If Deuce's shooting it's not like real. Like what he's doing right now is not real. Fucking crazy. He's shooting 44% from 3 on 9 threes per 75% possession. He's only being assisted on 83% of his threes, which is in the 23rd percentile. So almost 20% of his threes are unassisted threes being created by himself. Incredibly impressive. For anybody who is curious, like let's look at Jalen Brunson, for example, who, as we know, anyone who watches the Knicks knows Brunson is shooting a lot of pull-up threes. And he is being assisted on, holy shit, only 58% of his threes. So he's a god. That is what we just learned about Jalen Brunson right now. But he's in the 5th percentile. Deuce McBride is not Jalen Brunson. But the point is that, someone like, who did I cover the other day? Like RJ in Toronto is being assisted on 99% of his threes this year. He 1% of his threes hit this year are unassisted. So for Deuce to be close to 80%, that shows you that he's actually carrying some burden. He's still shooting 44% from 3. That's just not gonna stay. I'm sorry. Like if it does stay, it's a joke that he's playing 12 minutes a game. Like if this is his true ability as a shooter, he's a really fucking good player. I don't care what he can do off the bounce. If you can shoot that well, create threes for yourself sometimes, and defend the way he does, dude is underpaid, and we should start playing him next to Jalen Brunson more because his ability to shoot off the catch is special. If this is true.
He's also like he can hit a little mid-range shot too. I don't know if you guys have like noticed it the way I have, but he's kind of gone into it a little bit more. Like It's not like a fadeaway or anything like that, but he'll drive and just, quick sidestep, get a shot off. And it's an effective shot. Is he going to make every single one of them? No, but he looks comfortable doing it. And since the Anunoby trade, Grimes is averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, I think, but I know for a fact he's not shooting as good as Deuce is. And Deuce is putting up these same exact stats just on better efficiency. And for as good as Grimes is on defense, like, you're not guarding the ball like Deuce is. It's just a fact. So look, one of them is locked up, the other one's not. If I had to guess, I honestly don't see Grimes finishing the season here. I think it makes sense to also trade him before, he goes into that last year of his rookie deal, because that's what next year would be, correct? That would be year 4.
Grimes would be in the Quickly situation next year if he doesn't get extended.
So I'm pretty confident he's going to get traded. Like,
is it
going to be for Brogdon? I mean, I wouldn't like that, but we'll see.
If it's for Brogdon, it has to only be him. Like, it can't be Grimes and a first. Absolutely not. The Heat just set the market. So Leon, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have enough firsts that, like, if it did end up being Grimes and a first for Brogdon, like, I'm not gonna go friggin' jump off my balcony. But I would feel like, okay, once again, just as I felt in the Raptors trade, like, okay, maybe the Knicks are ceding a little value. That's fine. It's okay to, like, in the macro vacuum, lose a little bit of value on trades, but you have to, like, it has to be the immediate results have to justify it. So, like, okay, you went out and got OG. That's great. OG's been fucking awesome. Like, the return is looking better and better every day. Even today, when, like, he had a couple rough offensive possessions, like, dude, the minutes with OG on the court are so good that, like, if we can just get him to the playoffs, and then Tibbs can start to use him like Lil Deng, the Knicks are going to be tough because he's everywhere defensively. Dude is a machine.
I worry about him fouling out in the playoffs.
Man, he doesn't commit a lot of fouls. He's got a great reputation. He's like whatever Jalen Brunson has for offense, he has that for defense, the inverse. Like,
am I like scarred from the first game he played? Do you think that's what it is?
The Timberwolves game? Yeah, that's funny. I feel like he hasn't committed a lot of fouls since, though. Sam? He hasn't really been in foul trouble since the Timberwolves game, right?
Who?
OG.
Yeah, he hasn't really been. That was a weird game for him. I don't know if the refs are adjusting to, like, seeing him much more or seeing him in orange and blue and just, like, I don't know. But yeah, he hasn't been in foul trouble since then, really. I mean, it was like those first couple games, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing we should also point out about the Knicks game is, like, it is a rivalry game. So it's not really fair to be like, well, the Nets are this in a vacuum. They were going to get up for this game, and they tried really hard defensively. Like, they tried really hard overall. But I actually thought their defensive game plan and execution was really strong. I thought they pushed Randall and Brunson to tough spots. I don't think they ceded a lot of open threes. They didn't cede a lot of offensive rebounds. I know part of that is no iHeart, no Mitch, but, like, Jericho Sims is trying to get offensive rebounds. It's not like he's doing nothing. So I feel like Brooklyn played one of their better games of recently, and it's a nice sign that the Knicks, like, took a punch from them against a rival on the road and hung in there for the win. I do think in some ways this was an encouraging win.
For sure. In a way. I'm going to roll through some more comments here. We got Jordan Bell bringing in some interesting stats. Said most consecutive 30-point games this season, 21 by Embiid, active streak, 11 by Luka, 7 by Trey, 7 by Kevin Durant, 6 by Shea, 5 by Giannis, 5 by Luka, 5 by Kyrie, 5 by Brunson, active streak. And I mean, hey, if the Knicks are going to continue to be in these dogfights with anybody in the league, it seems like now, and Brunson's going to be playing 35 plus minutes, it looks more and more likely that the streak could continue if he continues to have it going. We know there's those moments where Jalen Brunson does have either those bouts of passiveness or he just doesn't have it going. But hopefully he continues on this hot streak, and yeah, we continue winning games. Hopefully just not as close as they've been. I mean, like, people have been saying, like, I mean, I've been complaining. I mean, to anyone that complains about, like, hey, we need bench help. There's those other people that are like, hey, we're like 10-2 since the trade, so you should be happy. But it's like, that's like very like bottom, like we've come past these levels of like just looking at the here and now. We have to look towards the future as well, and like going forward, we're gonna gas these guys. We need bench production in the playoffs. Like, if we roll out a lineup in the playoffs of fucking Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Precious Achiuwa for like 3 minutes in a playoff game, that's like a 10-0 run by the other team, because they're eventually going to score somehow and we won't be able to. And that's it. That's it right there and then.
And it's important to point out that, the Knicks are 10-2, which is awesome against anybody. Aside from the Philly and Minnesota wins, it's not like they're out there beating world beaters, and it was good. What was so cool about the 5-0 start, it's not just that they beat Philly and Philly. They fucking bludgeoned them. They crushed them. They were crushing Minnesota at home. Then they, whatever. That was their first game. There was some chemistry stuff they were figuring out. But the fact that they just came out of the gates, crushed Minnesota for, 3 quarters or whatever. And then they played, I was betting every single Knicks line then. And it was just like the lines just kept feeling so disrespectful. And they just kept crushing teams for those first 5 games. And that's what you have to do against these bad teams, partially because it proves you're a good team, but also because of what Sam said, that you need, especially when Tibbs is your coach, you need to get these guys out of the game in the fourth quarter and not let these minutes build up, because that shit will pay, negative dividends in the playoffs when all these minutes are adding up.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, we're 19-0 versus like teams below 500, but like, how many of these games are like finishing within like 1 to 9 points when they should be like 15 to 20 points maybe, or something like that, and like guys should have played less minutes. So it's like those things you got to look for in the macro. I feel like a lot of people in the fan base look at things on the micro, and they also value things that like aren't that important. Like, yeah, like rebounding and stuff, like that's important. But like when I'm complaining about Quentin Grimes getting minutes, it's like not just because like, oh, I'm expecting Quentin Grimes to be be aggressive. I'm expecting him to just space the floor and teams to respect him a little bit more, and that matters more in the grand scheme of things in a basketball game than your fetishization for rebounding because you grew up watching 90s Knicks basketball instead of modern basketball. Like,
and what Sam's talking about, like the shooting, it is reflected in impact data when we're specifically talking about Grimes and Hart. But when we're talking about Grimes in the macro, he hasn't been good like this whole season. He hasn't been helpful. And I think despite the fact that he's shooting 37% from 3, I think what's being reflected there is that he's not moving the way he was. He's not shooting, he's not, the shots aren't going in as consistently. So he's not getting the same level of respect from defenses, despite the fact that he is a more willing shooter than Josh Hart. So like you can be disappointed in what Grimes has given us this season. I think that's totally reasonable, but understand that being disappointed in Grimes and him still being a superior option to Josh Hart at the shooting guard, those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Definitely. Knicks duos with, go ahead, Con. Go ahead, Con.
All right, so just save that you were going to bring up because I'm going to put up a different comment. This is funny. The salary matches up Fournier for Mikal, so it could potentially be a Fournier Grimes picks package.
Let's go.
Interesting.
It won't happen. Sean Marks is a doofus, and the Knicks and Nets hate dealing with each other.
It won't happen.
To be clear, like I wasn't even like the whole like I got the implication behind Josh Hart's tweet that like shit, man. If Josh Hart's like, yo, come and join us, you're awesome. I'm happy to play
10 minutes,
15 minutes a night as the 7th or 8th man. Cool. But I doubt that's what an NBA player is thinking. And like my whole point was like, dude, if we trade for Mikal Bridges, whether Josh Hart's here or not, whether he's here or not, like there aren't going to be many minutes left that I'd imagine he's not going to be super happy with his role. But who knows? Maybe like nostalgia, all the Nova boys back in New York together. Maybe he would be happy. I don't know. I don't know the guy, so I can't speak for him.
Maybe he wants to play less. His knees can be saved for a couple more years.
Needs those knees. Those are his rebounding knees, Sam.
Yeah,
got a sky high for those boards.
Those money makers right there. Because God knows he's not making any money with his jump shot
or his parlays.
Yeah, or his parlays.
Nice
that guy hasn't posted a winning ticket ever.
Because he keeps losing.
He's like the inverse of Sam. I bet he didn't. I bet he didn't have like a sweet birthday weekend at some bougie bar with his girl. You know. Like...
Oh man, I haven't hit one since the 11th.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's hear it, Sam. You haven't won one of your 200-to-1 parlays. It's been a week. Oh, rough week, dude.
No, but it's annoying like losing by like these one legs, but like I just brush it off like I always do.
Do you have any sweat? Do you can we make a halftime one for you right now in the Clippers-Lakers game for you to win?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let me look at
right.
it. I'm gonna do the Sam thing. Okay.
All right, hold on. I got FanDuel.
D'Angelo Russell over assists. What's his assist total?
I can only do points and threes on FanDuel. Yeah, to parlay them together.
What's D'Angelo Russell's threes? 3.5?
I mean, you can go up to 5.
Ooh.
Or 4.
So maybe D'Angelo Russell 4 threes.
Okay.
What about James Harden? How high can you go with James Harden?
You can go up
Wait,
to
the deal of threes are locked for me.
Yeah, they're locked for me.
Damn. Because the half just started.
And I think he might be shooting.
Oh no, we're good.
Shooting a free throw? Yeah, he was shooting a free throw. But yeah, he could do 4 threes. Okay, James Harden, he could go up to 7.
Okay.
I don't know how aggressive he's going to be in the second half.
He's got 4 already.
Yeah, I know. It's tempting because they're like plus 650 for 7.
What about Terrence Mann? Can you get 3?
Terrence Mann, they don't got him listed, sadly.
What a joke. What about Cole?
I think we should go 6 for Harden.
6? Yeah, that's safe. 2 more threes. All right.
What are Harden's points?
Harden's points, let me see. You can go up to 35 with him. Yeah. A little dicey.
Go 30. Let's go 30.
30, James Harden. Okay, that's plus 210.
Yeah. Jesus, how do you get these super long shots?
I combine I either combine a whole bunch of players or like I'll go like super high with certain players.
I don't know.
So he's
see if right now if I had D'Angelo Russell 35, that's how you get the odds like really up there.
Yeah, or Anthony Davis 35.
Yeah.
Man, D'Lo just hit a 3.
Yeah, I know. I gotta change it now.
That's so sick.
I gotta put him for 5.
All right,
but hey, this is good for me because I have some other like pregame and other stuff that could hit if this game stays close. So
let's go.
But yeah,
Sam's world. We're all just living in it.
All right, I hope so tonight.
Are we putting a spread on this game?
I usually don't like to add spreads to my parlays just because you can get dicey there. But
yeah. Sam's he's not about the game lines. He's just a player prop master.
No, Sam is all, what have you done for me lately? He doesn't care about who's winning the game. I think I'm going to toss in AD for a 30 ball.
Dude.
80 for 30?
Man.
Should I go 35?
You know what? I'm going to go crazy and put him and D'Lo for both 35.
Love it.
Dude. It's
James
like Harden we traveled for 30.
It's like we traveled back in time and we got to watch Michelangelo paint. This is just brilliance at work here.
All right, so I got D'Lo and Harden 3s, and then I got AD and D'Lo for 35 apiece, and I got Kawhi and Harden for 30 apiece.
And what's that line?
What's it all together?
Yeah, what's the
Odds?
Yeah.
Plus 24, plus 24,000.
Oh man, this is beautiful. I want it to win very badly. These are the best nights.
All right, so the sweat begins.
Godspeed, Samuel.
We need 2 threes apiece from D'Lo and Harden, and we need a whole bunch of points from AD, Kawhi. I mean, if Russell and Harden get the threes, I mean, that pretty much settles the points right there, pretty much. Just need AD and Kawhi to go crazy.
And I put Rui to get 20 ball. And he has
That's not impossible. He just needs 13 more points, and he's one of their guys tonight. So
I got it in right before D'Lo made that 3. So
yeah, because the odds shift like crazy once a made basket.
So I'm playing 5 to win 3 racks.
Whew. Let's fucking go. Kanye and Rich.
That's what it's all about, man.
If I win, I'll take care of you guys.
You know, there are some people
who
might think this is bad post-game show work, but if you were to ask our sponsor, they'd think we're doing a very good job.
No,
you know, like
this is electric.
This is beautiful.
One of the best streams was us sweating that Kings Mavs, not the Kings Mavs, it was the Kings Magic overtime game.
Dude,
was
Sam,
like one of the best post games.
Sam, I went through. You want to talk about bad work? I went through the process of screen recording 4 different clips from that night of us watching that game, and sent them to Zach, and was like, "Dude, this would be an awesome story. Like, do your magic, clip these together, and like post it on Strickland." Just fucking ignored it. Dude's super busy these days, apparently. Oh my god. Never texted back. Fucking text. We could have had a banger on Strickland. Instead, nobody got to see it. Bullshit, man.
But yeah, that was like one of the best post games that we had this year, and it was centered around sweating a gambling bet. So hey. But yeah, here we go. Knicks duos, Jordan Bub. Knicks duos with most 30-point games, Guerin and Knowles. I never heard that second name before. With 16, Brunson and Randall with 8, and I would assume that they're going to have a whole bunch more considering the way this team is structured right now. And Houston and Spree with 5, as well as Barnett and Reed with 5. So Brunson and Randall making their presence known amongst Knicks duos greats. This also kind of is very telling of kind of pathetic how the Knicks have been over the years, that these are the names that are the duos with the most 30-point games together.
Houston and Spree is cool, and Barnett and Reed. That's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like there's no Ewing with anybody on this list. Like, there's no Carmelo with anybody. Like, it just shows you like how bad of a job this team has done with at least surrounding its stars with comparable talent. And hopefully the Knicks are making a nice, turn in the other direction.
Yeah. Hey Sam, one more off-topic question.
Yes.
What was your drink of choice at that swaggy bar you were at for your birthday? What's your cocktail of choice?
I just had a regular strawberry margarita.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey man, I indulge in a strawberry margarita every now and then.
I had like 3 of them, and then I had they gave me like a shot on the house for my birthday.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Late happy birthday from me, since I haven't talked to you since.
Thanks.
Jeff, is that a Roll Tide cup?
Roll Tide.
You don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
My brother went to Bama. My brother went to Bama, so and I watched the Knicks game with my mom at her place before I drove back to my own place.
Gotcha.
So I brought this cup from there.
All right, what else do we have here? Oh, we got a quote from Tom Thibodeau, our favorite coach. I didn't think we played particularly well, but I loved how we responded in the fourth quarter. That said a lot about who we are. Well, Tibbs, says a lot about who you are as a coach too. No, let me stop.
I actually think you make a, like, I know you were being sarcastic, but I actually do think that the game reflects both the good and the bad of Thibodeau. That, like,
of course,
there are certain bad things that it's like, make you shake your head, but then at the same time, it's like we've rooted for some really bad teams, and like just think about how often they've showed up like this and just totally mailed it in. And tonight, they show up out of the gate not looking super good. And the one thing that they do have is effort, especially defensive effort. And I think you have to point that out when you talk about Thibodeau, because, I mean, I can't tell you the last time the Knicks, played consistently this hard. So I do think he obviously deserves credit for that, at least in my opinion.
Let's see. Question here that Khan had brought up. I was not on a honeymoon. That's not why I was out this past week from Postgame. I was legitimately so exhausted my brain could not function, so I had to sleep a bunch.
Wait, speaking of that, I do have an 8 a.m. tomorrow, so I'm gonna hop out of here.
All right,
peace.
peace.
See you, boys. Take it easy.
See you, Con.
Later.
Ooh, look at me. I'm in college. I'm 22. Fucking loser.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
Night, buddy.
Be good.
All right.
God damn, I'm old. That sucks.
I'm probably gonna end up ending stream soon just because I have to get up at 5 to teach soon. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta be up too. I just feel left out. I got nothing.
But yeah, we're gonna get through some more of these comments here. Let's see. What else do we have here? 42 of y'all Thibs lovers in here. Hit that like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell. Definitely shout out Hawkeye 420. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribing. We've surpassed 1K subs and we're trying to continue to get up there. So come on, Kawhi, you can't miss that. Those points, man.
Yeah, how are you gonna end the stream soon? What if you
I'll tweet something. I'll tweet. We'll see. We'll see if if the game is legitimately really close and I have something that's close to hitting, maybe I'll stick on. But
that was a couple pretty nice defensive possessions from Austin Reeves. You don't see that super often.
Yeah. Maybe he heard the noise.
Yeah. Do we have any other? Oh my god! You fucking loser. Do we have any other comments?
Let's see. I mean, got a lot. Shout out to Jordan Bub, leaving a lot of Knicks stats in here. He said Jalen Brunson averages in the 10 games he's played since the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby, 29 points, 3.7 rebounds, 8 assists. The thing that stands out to me is the assist. I don't know if it's because he has to do more on-ball stuff without Quickly here and without RJ here that he is just by nature of having the ball more, he gets more assists, as well as maybe just he's passing to more sure scorers, I want to say, in a way, it's someone not as volatile as an RJ Barrett. With OG, he's gonna get his points from either corner threes or slashing to the rim, and they're pretty consistent for the most part. No, he hasn't really been hitting his threes the last couple games, or at least consistently the last couple games. But and he's definitely been. I mean, Brunson's definitely been playing a lot more with Randall and DiVincenzo, so maybe there's something there with playing with those guys a lot more, just getting more assists through that. But yeah.
Well, I think it's a complimentary thing. Absolutely what you just said is right, but at the same time, it works the other way too. When Brunson's operating with more space, he gets into more of a rhythm, and that puts more pressure on defenses to send help from other areas, and more natural assists open up for him. So, I mean, we've talked this to death, but the benefits of going from RJ to OG were always going to that was apparent. I do think it is fair to point out that without RJ, compare it, OG does a lot of things better than RJ, and I think in the macro we're seeing that impact. But the one area we are talking about is holy shit, how do we create a basket without Brunson or Randall doing it? And we all know from after watching him with the Raptors for 5 years, but also, if you didn't watch him with the Raptors for 5 years, if you've paid attention the last month, the answer is not OG Anunoby. Like, nobody wants that to be the answer. So, I mean, if they can go out and get somebody to answer that question and be the quickly that they had off the bench, then that's even more of a, okay, now we're getting all of the benefits of OG over RJ, and we're masking the one deficiency that we brought in.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Let's see what else we have here. Chris Bernhardt says he wanted to tell the change market changes now due to the steal. However, I think the Miami unprotected 2008 pick could be really valuable. Old, no Jimmy, and no certain other superstar. I think it's a lottery protected 2027 pick for Miami. I believe that's the pick. That's going to the Charlotte Hornets. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, though, with teams like the Hornets and just all these teams that are going to be sellers, and whether they trade guys or like whether they're going to go on the buyout market. I definitely think the Knicks are probably going to be a team that may be a little bit more active on the buyout market than they've been in past years, just because they do need a little bit more help on the bench. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do in terms of like, will they get a big off the bench? Will they try to get a big off the bench? Do they trust Precious Achiuwa? Are they fooled by these games? Do they want to go more Jericho Sims route? Like, these are the things that, are going to be very interesting to see that develop over the next couple years. Not years, weeks. Man,
I don't see how they bring in another big. Like, they already are committed or somewhat committed to Mitch, at least from a contract standpoint. I know they love Hartenstein. Like, there's no team that's like, we need to bring in another competent big in case those guys get hurt. The Precious Achiuwa, Jericho Sims minutes have to be what suffices in the short term until those two get healthy. Like, and I know that there's a chance Mitch just misses the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you get to a point near the trade deadline where you're like, okay, yeah, Mitch isn't coming back. Okay, I could see the argument for it, but still, like, I don't know. Like, the minutes tonight were fine. That's what I'll say. And is that enough of a reason to say they're good? No, I'm not going to say that. They're going to be bad games too. But I do think in the short term, at least until Hartenstein gets back, the combination of Jericho Sims and Precious should be fine. And Randall should be able to play center sometimes. Like, that is on Tibbs to. I'm sorry you're not super comfortable with that, but this is the roster, and like every single time it's not perfect. It can't just be like, oh, we got to go make a trade,
Yeah, I mean that's the NBA 2K mindset right there. One time, I remember once, I think it was like a year or two ago, I did a rebuild for the Knicks, and something wasn't working out. You just make a trade, and that's just not how things work necessarily in the NBA. But yeah, as we're talking, I just placed another live bet. What I did was D'Lo and Harden for 6 threes because they both have 4. Torian Prince and Paul George for 3 threes. They both have 1.
Nice.
5 to get 1K.
Let's go. What could go wrong?
They have about a quarter and 5 minutes to do it.
I believe in you.
We'll see. I like doing these late third quarter bets because it's kind of easier to get a read on like how the game's going in the second half.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah. All right, let's see what other things we have here. What other comments we have? Shout out to everyone that's leaving comments. Promise you I'm trying to get to as much as I can. I also just want to make sure I can get to sleep so I don't sleep on the job while teaching 4-year-olds tomorrow. So
that seems like it would be pretty hard to do. Like, they're not going to let you sleep.
Oh no, of course not. They're always on top of me. Nafimo Huda says, do you think the front office is trying to swing a big trade in terms of acquiring 2 bench scorers? Grimes, Fournier, and 1 first-round pick might be enough. 2 bench scorers. Now that would be interesting, but I don't know how that happens, and I don't know who they would be, and I don't even know how it would work playing time wise either.
It would have to be like a 3-way trade where I don't know, like just imagine like Brogdon and Burks, So like a 3-way trade between the Blazers, Pistons, and Knicks, where the Knicks net Brogdon and Burks. They send out, whatever what you just said, and the Blazers and Pistons, swap some sort of assets as well. But
Okay.
That's just hypothetical. I have no inside information, obviously.
I mean, that could work though.
Yeah. As far as playing time, Deuce would go back to not playing.
Yeah,
and it would just be Brog.
And that's the thing that I've seen. I've seen a lot of the fan base just like doesn't seem to be a fan of. Understandably so, because he has sort of earned, I guess, a little bit of playing time, and he has started to finally get into rhythm. Jason Aravalos brings up McBride just needs to get a rhythm going with more minutes, definitely. But like we're at the point with the OG trade, the team has kind of reached this point where they can afford to really wait around, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
And like they need guys to be what they need them to be right away.
I saw man, I follow him. I usually agree with what he tweets. I'm trying to think of who it was. It's a Knicks fan. Blames Dolan. Does that sound right?
Okay.
Yeah. He tweeted yesterday talking about how he doesn't think that it's reasonable to like. He was like, "Oh, now that we traded for OG, there are all these people who are like, it's title or bust or something." And to me, that's kind of I don't want to say disingenuous, but that's kind of a misrepresentation of what at least people like myself are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying it's Tyler or bust. I actually think the Celtics are so good this season that it's going to be really hard to win a championship. Like, I just think unless an injury occurs or something like that, like I feel very confident that the Celtics are going to win the East. But when you trade your two most important young players, like these were your two players, 23 and 24 years old, and one of whom the data really liked, and the other of whom you drafted number 3 overall, and did what God knows what. When you make this trade, and you can say all the things you want about the trade, when we weren't going to extend quickly anyways, we weren't going to re-sign him, et cetera, et cetera. When you make a trade like that, the timeline has to move up because, say what you want about what the Knicks were doing before, at least there were multiple avenues that the Knicks could take forward. They weren't locked into a path. The path the Knicks are locked into right now is this one. This is it. There's no other, they're built around this core of players. They probably want to get a better player than Jalen Brunson. I'd imagine that's the final piece. But there's no more okay, well, nothing matters until they get the final piece, because there's no guarantees there's going to be a final piece. That's why the other timeline was so acceptable, because in the meantime, while we weren't getting Embiid or Giannis or Booker or Luka, we were watching younger players develop, and there was a non-0% chance that one of those young players could himself turn into something meaningful. That's gone. There's none of that anymore. There's nobody on the roster. This is a roster of known products. That's what it is. And I'm not saying they can't improve. Of course they can improve. But this roster is very, very much set in stone for what it is right now. And so if you're going to do that, if you're going to make that decision, there need to be results. They're just due. Like, if you're going to make the bet that, Quickly's too small to get to play with Brunson, that'll never work, without ever trying it, I'm sorry, you need to be right. They're you just have to be right, or there are consequences. I'm sure there were tons of people in the 80s who were good at their jobs who were like, oh, these computers, they're stupid. But if they were fucking wrong about that, I'm sorry. They were just wrong. So there were probably consequences. I have said over and over again that I believe Tibbs is good at a lot of parts of his job. I think he's a good head coach. But the front office has made decisions around his biases and around his preferences. if that doesn't work, there need to be consequences. Like that is the context with which people are saying that. I'm not expecting a championship, but I am expecting them to compete in the playoffs and to compete meaningfully. And I don't get people who aren't. I don't get people who are like, oh no, it's still the same. No, we're just waiting for a superstar. Like, no, fuck that. We're not, because there's no guarantee the Knicks are getting Embiid or anyone like that. And we can't just be on this roller coaster forever. And eventually there has to be a step forward.
Yes.
Sorry, rant.
Totally agree. Let's see. Prediction against the Nuggets. Phil and X brings up, as we can start to, I guess, close things out. We do play the Nuggets when? Thursday?
Yeah. The Knicks are playing Thursday. You would know this if you checked Twitter and saw Schwinn going at it with Robert Randolph.
Oh my God. Well, it's something for me to do my bedtime scrolling. I'll definitely look up for that.
Schwinn tweeted, "Guess I missed an eventful game just to lose my men's soccer league." And Robert Randolph tweeted, "Yes, we are glad to not hear you bash King Julius Randle." And then Schwinn responded with, "I'm just glad when the Knicks don't play on Friday night, so I don't have to hear your voice." Oh, brother.
Oh man. Robert Randolph, the king of fake Knicks news.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah. But hey, I guess he needs the Elon bucks.
I don't know, man. That's just weird. Like,
James Dolan isn't paying enough, so he's got to make the Elon bucks.
How do you like? Yeah, whatever, dude. Oh, Cam made one. All right, proud of you, Cam.
Well, Cam Reddish is not my
Whoa,
prize.
he's had a good game.
I need
3 stocks. He's had a nice game though.
But yeah, prediction against the Nuggets. It's gonna be tough if Hartenstein doesn't play.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be really
that's
rough.
The prediction.
Yeah,
and
like,
unfortunately, Sam, like the thing that Tibbs does best, and this is one of the reasons that I said what I said earlier about playing the Cavs in the playoffs. I actually think that that came off disrespectful. I actually think that the Cavs could give other teams more trouble than they'd give the Knicks. Like, if the Cavs played the Sixers, for example, I think that's a nightmare matchup for the Sixers. And I think the Cavs are really good, and I would think the Cavs are going to win. The thing that Tom Thibodeau does best is when you have specifically a shooter that you can exploit and ignore. He's going to build the defense around that and funnel the ball to that player better than any coach in the league. I swear to God, better than any coach in the league. He finds somebody to exploit and he gets the ball into that person's hands. Like, they literally couldn't let Isaac Okoro guard Brunson. He was their best defender on Brunson by far. They couldn't let him put him on Brunson because the whole first 2 games were just the ball finding Okoro's hands, and he couldn't do anything with it. But Tibbs has a skill as a defense designer of being like, okay, I want the ball to find this person's hands, and then getting the ball into that person's hands. So, like, if you look at the Nuggets, that person is probably going to be Aaron Gordon. But first of all, Aaron Gordon isn't Josh Hart. He's a willing shooter. If it's open, he'll shoot, and he doesn't seem to get discouraged. He shoots fine. But second of all, they're really creative. Like, they don't just hide Gordon in the corner. They put him in the dunker spot. They use him as a screener. They use him as a ball handler.
He's cutting all the time too.
He's cutting all the time, etc. And Jokic is obviously such a wonderful passer. There's not really going to be somebody that, at least with the starting unit, that the Knicks can just be like, oh, yeah, we'll just ignore that guy and that person can shoot. That's a tough matchup for the Knicks. But hey, I mean, I literally just went on a rant about how I have high expectations for this team. I do think they're really good, and I think that, throw a couple of big bodies, pick up some fouls on Jokic. I don't know. I know KCP is a very nice defender. I trust Jalen Brunson against him. I know Aaron Gordon's a very nice defender. I trust Julius Randle against him. Like, I'm not by any means writing off a home game against these guys. I think the Knicks can win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like sort of skeptical just because we've been in like these hard battles versus like the Wizards and the Nets of late. So like you're asking a contender to come into the Garden and the Knicks for them to be locked in and like compete with them actively. I mean, I think they will be. It's just like a matter of like they've been competitive with these bad teams, so it's like, you know, we haven't played a team like this since like I want to say maybe like Philly and
Yes, it's Philly.
Minnesota. So like we've been playing a lot of, you know, regular guys. So like
Yeah, I mean that's
Nuggets,
a nice way of putting it.
yeah, it is a nicer way of putting it than what I had initially in my head. But yeah, I mean the Knicks still have to be up to. I know they'll be up to the task, but it's a matter of like, are they going to execute?
What are your expectations for? So the Knicks play, 5. They play 8 of their next 9 at home. The one road game is at Charlotte. They play Denver and Miami, and then they're at Charlotte, and then they get Utah, Indiana, Los Angeles,
Charlotte's
Memphis.
selling like crazy.
Yeah. And then they got Utah, Indiana, Los Angeles, Memphis, Dallas, and Indiana one more time at home for a 6-game home stretch. Like, Indiana, I don't know, man. Indiana's, like, I feel like they should 6-3, 7-2 over that stretch. Like,
man, 6 and 3. Indiana games are gonna be so annoying, especially if Halliburton's back. It's gonna be like constant, like 125. I mean, like we've been pretty good at like stopping teams from scoring crazy amounts since we've gotten OG. So, but yeah, I mean, I expect the team to like, yeah, around that 6-3, 7-2. Like they should do that. Like they should take care of business for sure.
I mean, so then there's 2 games at Houston, at Orlando. Let's just say, because they've struggled with Orlando and Houston. Look, I mean, Houston slipping a little bit. Udoka has them playing hard. Let's just say they go 1-1 in that stretch. You give them 6-3 and they finish 7-4. Dude, 34-21 at the All-Star break is nice. Like that, like, I don't know. As someone who has way, way, way too much money for myself riding on their win totals this season, like I would have happily signed for 34-21 at the All-Star break. Dude, their preseason win total was 44.5. I was very angry at that.
Torian Prince hit a 3. Let's go.
Let's go, Sam.
Still need 2 more from D'Lo, Harden, and Paul George, and I need 1 more from Torian. So it's a lot.
That's all. That's all, huh?
There's a lot. I mean, if this game, what I'm hoping is this game goes to overtime in a high scoring bout. I mean, almost every quarter, each team has scored about 30. So I'm hoping that this is another 30-point quarter from both teams, and we're looking at ourselves at some overtime, which I'll probably be asleep for. So
Jared Vanderbilt just threw one of the worst passes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Jared Vanderbilt's been pretty rough this year. He's like another one of those guys, like one of those like Josh Hart ilks that like isn't doing really well.
Worst shooter.
Yes, very worst shooter.
Yeah.
But yeah, these Josh Hart ilks are not doing really good this year. Bruce Brown's the exception.
They're like, the thing is like they're good in their role, you know? Like,
and once you try to have them do a little bit too much more than that role, that's when it becomes very ugly.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Vanderbilt would be totally fine playing, 15, 18 minutes a night and just working his ass off defensively, especially if I'm actually a little surprised they haven't tried him at all as the backup center to Anthony Davis. He did that in Utah some, and he's a really nice roller. He's good at passing on the short roll. He's a good rim protector, and he can, get from the interior to the exterior with speed. They like what Christian Wood's shown them a little bit recently. I don't like the combo of Wood and Vanderbilt at all. So that's just me personally. I'm a little surprised that they haven't tried Vanderbilt as a small center against bench units at all.
Yeah, it's weird. And Darvin Ham hasn't done a lot of things that Lakers fans like. So, well, they're Lakers fans, though.
It's too bad. I mean, they were lined up to get Doc, but now they can't get him. So
Man, this coaching carousel in the NBA is pretty wild. But yeah, I think we're gonna end things here. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. We'll be back on Thursday following the game versus the Nuggets. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here, head to sleep. Hopefully, I wake up to some wins. And hey, if you tailed, you have a sweat that you can sweat out for me or not. But yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace out.